pretty well. They own 10% of the company, so they made $32 million. Frank would be asked to remain as Pizza Hut's president and serve on the board of directors of PepsiCo, and he would remain there until 1980. He would leave both jobs, and his plan was to leave the pizza business for good. But, unfortunately for Pizza Hut, he did not. And we'll circle back to that in a little bit. Now with the top 5 list, here's Metagirl.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, retro fans! This is Metagirl, bringing you the top 5 discontinued menu items from Pizza Hut. At number 5 is the Bag Bag. It's very hip and it's no drag. For a buck, you get the Bag Bag. Yep, that's right. From around 1983 to 85, if you ordered a medium or large pizza to eat in-house or to go, you could get an awesome, bright red, 17-inch long, durable nylon sport bag with handy handles and a zipper closure stamped with the Pizza Hut logo and some zippy stripes for only $1. Not bad, bag. Number 4 is the Taco Pizza. In March 1979, Pizza Hut introduced a pizza-looking, taco-tasting pizza, the Taco Pizza. The pizza had a taste that said, "Olé!" with a base including refried beans and toppings of beef, lettuce, onions, tomatoes, and loads of cheddar cheese. Taco sauce could be added at the eater's discretion. The release of this Mexican-inspired delight was not without controversy. Texas-based competitor Pizza Inn tried to block Pizza Hut from using the name Taco Pizza, claiming that they had exclusive rights to the term, which they had tried to get trademarked. Pizza Hut's legal team won the "it's a general term" argument, and both chains offered their zesty pies. Another controversy? Whether the Taco Pizza is truly a retired menu item. Though only broadly available into the mid-'80s, some folks claim that their local Huts will still make the Taco Pizza upon request. Number 3 is the Bigfoot Pizza. The Bigfoot Pizza was all about size and value. Released in 1993, this monstrous morsel was 2 feet long by 1 foot wide. It was so big that it was delivered in a paper bag, presumably because there was not enough corrugated cardboard to contain such a pizza beast. And yet, the price was lower per square pizza inch than other Pizza Hut offerings. Folks loved getting more pizza for their money, and they loved Bigfoot's unique sourdough crust, but production, quality, and delivery challenges, plus a limited number of toppings, led to a quick drop-off in sales after a strong launch. Though the Yeti pie lingered in some markets for years, sadly, few sightings were reported by the mid-90s. For further folklore on the Bigfoot Pizza, including the harrowing tale of a 4th of July blimp crash in New York City, check out the Retroist blog post on the subject. At number 2 is the Triple Decker Pizza. In 1996, Pizza Hut was looking for a place to add more cheese to its pizzas. Having already stuffed the crusts, it had nowhere to go but up. Hence the Triple Decker Pizza, though it was really more of a double-decker or a quadra-decker than a triple. Vertically, the structure consisted of a thin crust, a 6-cheese blend, a second crust, then more cheese, plus toppings. Its pizza cousin, the Triple Deckeroni, had the same architecture with the addition of 90 pepperoni slices. Despite the extra layer of crust and cheese, the Triple Decker wasn't particularly thick, as can be seen in vintage commercials featuring Anthony Quinn and a not-so-silent monk. For reasons unknown, the Triple Decker only lasted about a year. Until Pizza Hut brings back this short-lived favorite, the best we can do is order 2 thin crust pizzas and stack them. And the number 1 discontinued Pizza Hut menu item is the Priazzo. Don't call it a pizza. The Priazzo was an Italian pie. A deep dish, double-crusted pie, stuffed with your favorite Italian meats, cheeses, veggies, and sauce, and then smothered with even more sauce and cheese before being baked to perfection. Launched in 1985, the Priazzo's Italian-sounding yet nonsensical name was dreamed up by the same folks that brought us the Pontiac Fiero. The 80s were a great time for imitation Italian brands. Eventually, there'd be 6 varieties of the Priazzo, with different ingredient combinations named after Italian cities like Roma and Milano. No substitutions were allowed, but subtractions were okay. The Priazzo was designed to boost dinner sales and was served all day on weekends, but only after 4 on weekdays. Pizza Hut had hoped the Priazzo would do for dinner revenues what the personal pan pizza had done for lunch. Sadly, it was not meant to be, and the Priazzo was donezo by the early 90s. Its downfall? Time. The deep dish delight took around 40 minutes to prepare, too long for most dashing diners. And there you have it, the Retroist Top 5 Discontinued Menu Items from Pizza Hut. Until next time, list fans, this has been MetaGirl.
Thanks, MetaGirl. When Pizza Hut was taken over by PepsiCo, sales that year were $436 million, and they decided to open a new $10 million headquarters for Pizza Hut in Wichita. Unfortunately, as the 80s came along, competition started to intensify. Not only did they still have companies like Shakey's and other companies like Straw Hat Pizza that were chains that were growing, but older competitors, people who've been around for a long time, who had taken a different route on how they handled pizza, namely delivery, would start gunning for Pizza Hut's business. And two companies that were really big on this were Little Caesars and Domino's. So Pizza Hut decided it needed to innovate, and they would start to introduce new products, something they'd always been interested in. And probably their biggest breakthrough from this era was the pan pizza. It had a thicker crust and came in deep pans. It would soon become hugely popular. And it was helped that Pepsi had deep pockets for advertising to push it. I think most people will remember at the time that Pizza Hut would run a personal pan pizza 5-minute guarantee, that you would get your personal pan pizza in 5 minutes and it would be piping hot and served to you quick. The reason everybody knew that was because of the massive amounts of advertising that was going on.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
What makes a Pizza Hut pan pizza so good? It's a pan full of homemade taste. Made fresh with dough we raised twice. Baked in a pan with a light, crispy crust. Dripping with pure mozzarella cheese. And your favorite toppings. There's only one place you can get a pan pizza this good. Your hometown Pizza Hut restaurant.
And now, back to the show.
With these new products, Pizza Hut appointed a new president and chief executive officer in 1984, Steven Reinemund. In the 80s, under Reinemund, Pizza Hut would thrive, and by 1986, they had opened their 5,000th location, and that one was in Dallas, Texas. They also started doing home delivery to counter the growth of Domino's and Little Caesars. By the early 1990s, delivery and carryout would become 25% of the company's total sales. Pizza was so popular that even companies like McDonald's got in on the act, releasing McPizza in the early 90s in test markets. And while it didn't catch on, it showed how much more competitive the pizza market was becoming. It's at this point that you start to see things like drive-thrus and Pizza Hut Expresses start to open, small little kiosks that would open in airports and shopping malls. This allowed Pizza Hut to offer pizza to a larger audience while keeping prices low because the operating costs of these Pizza Hut Expresses were so low. Despite all of this, Pizza Hut hit some hard times in the 90s. Fast food rivals had cut prices in the 90s, and Pizza Hut just couldn't match it, nor could they keep up with the competition. In 1994, Roger Enrico took over Pizza Hut, and Pizza Hut would try to increase profits with a new product. And I wanted to mention this because it was Enrico who decided to push and heavily promote stuffed crust pizza, which was a pizza with mozzarella folded into the outer edge crust. Basically, the idea was that people threw away their crust because they didn't think it was very flavorful. And so if you gave them more cheese or something to do with the crust, then they would eat that and they would see that as a bonus. They spent a lot of money advertising stuffed crust pizza, and it seemed to work. The market share rose from 25.6% to 27%, and in 1995, sales increased 16%. Because of this success, Pizza Hut decided that they would try to release a new product every year, something that would capture everybody's imagination. Not only that, they would look at, say, a product that already existed and try to put a little bit of a spin on it to freshen it up. Unfortunately for Pizza Hut, while profits seemed to be going up, there was still a big drain of resources and capital placed on Pepsi. Pizza Hut accounted for 17% of PepsiCo's total sales, but the return on investment for Pepsi's other products, their beverages and snacks, was much higher. And in the late 1990s, Pepsi decided to take all of its restaurant businesses and roll them all up into a new company. This included KFC and Taco Bell, as well as Pizza Hut. And this new company that was founded in 1997 was called Tricon Global Restaurants. They decided to have their headquarters in Louisville, Kentucky. Tricon would develop partnerships with Yorkshire Global Restaurants. Yorkshire had companies like Long John Silver's and A&W. These turned out to be successful. And in 2002, Yorkshire announced that it was going to merge with Tricon Global Restaurants. And that company would be called Yum Brands. Yum with an exclamation point. That merger was finished on May of 2002. If you're a fast food eater, and I am, one of the side effects of this merger was that restaurants that had formerly served Coca-Cola suddenly switched to Pepsi products. So if you were an A&W fan, you probably liked drinking Coca-Cola there. From that point on, you could only get Pepsi products. And Yum Brands is still where you can currently find Pizza Hut. And if you were driving through any city in any part of the world, you will see combination restaurants, Pizza Huts with Taco Bells, Pizza Huts with KFCs, A&Ws with Long John Silver's, all merged together in a crazy soup of fast food mayhem. It certainly does make for interesting lunch options. So I want to circle back to innovation. It's a strength of any company. And in the 1980s, Pizza Hut pushed hard on this. They hired David Novak to head the product development and try to block the growth of companies like Domino's. Novak thought, well, if you're going to have new products, it will entice people to come to the store to try it, and then they will buy all of the original existing products. Not a bad theory. So they started a new product development team within the company, and they wanted to release test foods on a regular basis. Now, the testing system was 18 months long for any product, so they had to have a lot in the chamber, constantly testing new things in order to have one thing that worked. And an example of something that would work would be Pizza Hut's stuffed crust pizza. Very popular, still well remembered today. And those would join other very popular Pizza Hut things like their meat lovers and veggie lovers lines of food. And it would lead to such great things like the Pizza Hut Bigfoot pizza. But for every big success, there were a dozen things that just didn't work out. Things like pizza in a cone or the waffle crust pizza. Unfortunately, for Pizza Hut, they were innovating in food, which is great if people are coming into your store trying new things. There was a recession in the late aughts, 2008, 2009, and people stopped eating out as much as they did. In the fourth quarter of 2009, for example, sales at Pizza Hut declined by 12%. And suddenly the idea of new products and new taste ideas wasn't as important as reliability and convenience. Unfortunately for Pizza Hut, they had decided to become the neighborhood restaurant and never really invested in becoming a delivery service. But, as you might know, another company was looking to be everybody's delivery service, and that was Domino's. Domino's had invested a huge amount of money in technology, trying to come up with more sophisticated ways to take orders and deliver pizza. And while their early investments in this in the 90s might have seemed trivial, by 2010, this investment was starting to make a lot of sense. People were looking to use their smartphones to order pizzas, and Domino's was on the forefront of that. Pizza Hut would continue to try to innovate on their product line with this mini cheeseburger pizzas and a new Pizza Hut flavor combinations that you could pick which ones you want. But again, this didn't really up the convenience factor that people wanted. This has meant that compared to the competition, Pizza Hut's sales have been pretty flat, and Domino's continues to grow and push ahead of them. It doesn't help that other companies not only rose to compete with them, but would rise to compete with Domino's, thus cutting even deeper into Pizza Hut. And one of the ones that hurt the most and I'm not just talking money-wise, was Papa John's. So as I said, Frank Carney thought